Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I am your host, Dr. Maury Mosovitz, joined by always my favorite, best, most wonderful co-host, Jen Albanese. Welcome, Jen. Yes. So we were talking, we're like prepping for Paris, right? Because we were talking, our guest today was just at the Paris Olympics, and we were having a whole conversation about going abroad, and that was the last thing we talked about before going on air.
I know. So you've been to Paris, obviously?
I have. My parents took us, which I thought was very cool.
When did you go? How old were you?
I gotta say, like right after college or right at the end of college, maybe. Okay. I cannot 100. I have to look back in my mind. It was not like, I was not recently.
Yeah. So how long were you there for? Like, what was your favorite?
We were there for a couple days. I remember going to the Moulin Rouge because I thought it was very weird to have, sit with my parents while there was topless women all around. I thought that was super uncomfortable. And then I remember there was like a woman that jumped into like a pool with like a snake. Like she's topless and she jumped into a pool of water with like a snake swinging around. I was like, why would anyone ever do this? So there was like a lot of that going on. And, I remember, and I think you traveled with your mother, we were talking about it, but I remember like my mother kept wanting to go down like dark alleys because she's like, oh, it looks really cool down here. And we're like, you're in a very large city in the world. Like you wouldn't go down an alley in New York City, but it doesn't mean you should do it in Paris, France.
Exactly.
So
so I went to Paris as part of so my mom and I did like a 21-day like European trip, like with a tour group, which actually was probably one of the best trips I've ever been on in my life. It was incredible. And we did London, Paris, and then did 3 cities in Italy. So Venice, Florence, and Rome.
Yeah.
So we were in Paris for 3 days. We also did the Moulin Rouge. So imagine my mom and I was in my 20s. So probably like 5 or 6 years after college. And, we're with like these tour group people that you just meet and you're at the Moulin Rouge, just like, hey, what's up? But I loved Paris. I was nervous about going there because I'd always heard like the language barrier, like they're not great about like trying to communicate in English. But we didn't have any issues with that. And we got to do so much. Like with your tour group, you get to go to so many different places. So we did the Louvre and we did
the Louvre. I should remember that. That was pretty cool.
So cool. We did Versailles, which was like out. So we took the little like day trip outside of Paris to do the Palace of Versailles, which was so cool. Obviously, we did the Eiffel Tower. Which that one, my mother is afraid of heights. So this is hilarious. We all go up in the elevator and it's like my mom literally got off the elevator. She looked and then she got back on the elevator and went right back down. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, we're in Paris, France, and I'm on the Eiffel Tower. Like, you can go sit at the bottom. So I was up there literally alone, just taking pictures of myself at the Eiffel Tower for like an hour.
I can see your mom doing that, just like walking up, being like, okay, I did it, come right back.
She was just like so proud of herself. She's like, yep, okay, I'm going to go back down now.
I mean, that's a lot for her just to get off the elevator was probably a big step.
I was proud of her, but Paris is beautiful. So obviously watching the Olympics and seeing all of Paris and like its glory, obviously when you have an Olympics, it's so incredible. But
my dad thought that he would be able to speak the language, and his way of doing it is just speaking very loudly to people and using his hands, and he thinks
100% your father. 100%.
That's and now they're talking about traveling the world because they're both retired, so poor people of the world, get ready for very loud talking with a lot of hand motions in your face, because that's kind of like what our experience was.
I can totally see that with your father. That would be hilarious. And they're like, sir, just because you just went up an octave doesn't mean I understand you.
Correct. And it doesn't work as well in France as like in Italy. Like in Italy, they kind of laugh and go with it.
With the hands. Oh, for
in
sure.
France, I didn't think it did as well.
They're like, who the heck are these tourists?
Exactly. We stuck out. That was for 100% sure.
Oh, for sure. But so I can't wait to hear about Will's time in Paris. That'll be so cool. So.
Yes. And Will's an awesome guest, and it's great to see that he's doing amazing things with the United States Olympics. And so we will have him as we get back after this break. If you're enjoying this podcast, please follow us on your favorite podcast streaming service. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting, a group focused on educating and guiding high school and college students looking towards careers in athletics. To find out more, go to our website at www.athcareer.com. That's ATHCAREER.
Right, everybody, welcome back. Maury, let's introduce our guest.
We're going straight awesome with this one. He served as a sports information communications director for Arizona State Athletics, where he spent 3 years overseeing communications for the Sun Devils. Over the course of his 8-year career in college sports communications, he worked at Syracuse University, the University of Toledo, and Ohio University, collaborating with over 20 athletic teams and managing everything from media relations to multimedia content creation. His career also included 2 seasons interning with the National Hockey League, as well as a stint with Columbus Eagles FC. Beyond his communications experience, our guest is an accomplished photographer who has covered professional events, games, and tournaments. A native of Columbus, Ohio, his passion for storytelling, photography, and professional development continues to shape his career as he makes his mark in sports communications. Currently, he serves as the director of communications at USA Weightlifting in Colorado Springs, where he is responsible for creating and overseeing the organization's communication strategy. His work includes managing media relations, social media, and USA Weightlifting website, and both internal and external communications, all while reporting directly to the CEO. We are excited to hear from Will Edmonds. Welcome, Will.
Hi,
Hello,
Will.
thank you for having me.
When he said about photography, I was like, "Yep, he photographed my gender reveal." Remember that?
I
Will?
forgot
He
we did that. Wow.
My gender reveal for my second child. So Michael,
Will's covered
that was all you.
everything.
How's she doing nowadays, by the way?
Well, yeah, Natalie is 6 and Michael is 4. So that was
Oh,
4
wow.
years. That was almost 5 years ago now. That's insane. But those were the best pictures ever. I'm not kidding. Like, that was so much fun. So when you said photography, I was like, oh, yep.
Yep, Will's covered it.
Will's got it.
My best work right there.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. Before we jumped on, we were talking about the Olympics and like all this amazing experience that you have working with, U.S. Olympics and U.S. weightlifting. What a cool experience! Like just getting into that. How did you connect with getting into USA weightlifting?
It's funny. I never thought I would ever work for Team USA. I never really paid attention to weightlifting at all. I just kind of hit a point when I was at Arizona State after 3 years. I just kind of felt like I was ready for a next step, ready to move on. And I'm looking at job descriptions, and I come across USA weightlifting, and I'm like, you know what? I do kind of like working with sports that have those body weights, those body weight categories.
Yeah.
Because I was coming off of 2 years working with wrestling, so I'm used to having athletes cut and go up and down, and just like everything that goes into that. And it was obviously working for Team USA, representing your country. I thought that'd be a fun challenge, looking at what the organization needed, and like looking at how I was trying to grow professionally. I just saw like a lot of things that were lining up. It's like, you know what? Let me take some faith, put in my resume. I applied. I actually got a call back 2 days later, directly from the CEO, and that was the first interview. And here we are, just over a year later.
Yeah, going right into the Paris Olympics, which has to be so cool to actually like get right into, the Olympics within a year of you. I think you said of you actually taking the job.
Yeah, I mean, it was nerve-wracking. You come in day one, and CEO says, "Okay, like your first and primary priority for the next 9 months is the Olympics." And as a communications director, you're sitting there like, "Okay, no pressure." But
Kind
you
of
also
a big,
can't necessarily.
kind of a big deal, but not like it's only the Olympics.
Yeah, and like it's like I mean, most things you can kind of kick them down, like, oh, it's 4 months down the line, it's 5 months down the line. It's like, no, the Olympics are 9 months, and they're going to come real
It's
fast.
coming.
Um, and especially for me, brand new to the position, I'm a one-man crew. They hadn't really had a communication director in a few months. And we were actually favorited for 2 with the possibility of 3 or 4 medals going into that. So like, it's not just getting ready for the Olympics, it's getting ready to have some of the best athletes on the planet on your team.
Yeah.
So it was like sprinting, but it was fun. I learned a lot in those those short 9 months. Came back with 2 medals from Olivia Reeves and Hampton Morris. First medals on weightlifting in 20 something years.
That's awesome.
That's so incredible.
So great
That's
experience.
Awesome. Nice.
Well, that's awesome to hear, but we want to hear from your tips and tricks that you have to give all those people out there that want to get into the world of athletics. So throw us your first one.
Yeah, my first one's going to be just learn to write. I tell every student I work with and every student, whoever calls me and asks me, hey, like, what are tips to get to where you are? Learn to write. Because whether you're talking to the boss or internal communications, external communications, you have to be able to tell a message. And, as we've progressed more and more, I've noticed that more and more students just kind of lose that ability to write and put thought to paper. So if you really want to stand out against the crowd, just learn how to put words to paper, learn how to be punctual, send a good email, write a press release, all those things. And more importantly, too, just learn to talk to people, like learn to communicate in general.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who have the technical skills, but they don't really have those soft skills. They can't really, again, like tell those stories. They can't take what they're hearing, take what they're listening to, put it on paper and share it with someone else. So if you can do that, you're definitely going to be looked at very quickly.
I think it's funny because I hear that, I feel like it's cliche, but a lot of times the storytelling, like you have to be a storyteller, you have to be able to like express yourself. And like in the world of AI, oh, I can just put it into, chat GBT or something. And the reality is like that can only pump out what you put into it, right? So like if you can't tell a story, if you can't communicate to people, it doesn't matter what you do, and make sure that it all looks right and sounds right, because those computers can't do everything for you.
No, absolutely. I mean, because no one's reading like a full press release just for the stats of what happened in the game or whatever.
Right.
They can look at a box score and get that up pretty quickly. But they want to know the emotions of the athlete, emotions of the coach going into the event, coming out of the event. What's the storyline going after it? Why did this athlete write these people's names in their shoes? Why was this athlete looking at this like one particular spot in the crowd over and over again? Like you need to be able to tell those stories and communicate that information. Yeah, you can use AI and a lot of like automated sources to get like the quick stuff out, but like people want to feel, and it's your job as a communications director to make them feel and give them that knowledge.
That's so good. I think about like, even if you don't want to be in the field of communications, you still need to be able to communicate, whether it's in a meeting or on a Zoom meeting or a call, or when you're sending an email, like those communication skills, again, like you said, AI can only take you so far. Like you got to be able to have those soft skills. And I feel like students right now are not thinking about that. Like you still need to be able to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody. You get so much farther when you talk to somebody face-to-face. And if you're shooting them a text or through an email, like I get so much more done if I go down to Maury's office or I go somewhere else and we talk through it so much quicker than, writing the email or having something really generic. So that's a really good point. I like that a lot. So
very, very good. Good start off. Okay. Well, let's go with number 2.
My second one was just kind of have a focus of where you want to go and be honest with yourself on what you need to do to get there. So for me personally, when I was looking at how I want to build out my career and how I wanted to grow, I was looking at job descriptions all the time. I was sitting down with myself probably every 3 or 4 weeks, and I was looking at, okay, this is what I can do right now, and this is what the job that I want to have, this is what they're requiring. What can I not do that's in that job description right now that I can start doing in this position or set myself up in the next job to get going? And that's really helped me get here. I'm only 8 years out of college. I never thought I'd be working for Team USA, going to the Olympics, but here we are. I think part of that's because of that focus I had. So for that next generation, I would say, wherever you want to go, you can probably get there. But you need to have a very clear path of what you're doing and have a clear progression, because someone's going to just hand it to you. You have to work for it.
That's a great tip. Just looking at those job descriptions to find out those things that maybe you're just kind of slightly off or have not built those skills is a great tip that I think most people don't realize. Like visualize yourself in that role. What is it going to take? Make sure that you built that skill, because it could be hard that you could be setting yourself up for a job that maybe you're not able to accomplish because you haven't built up that expertise yet. So what a great way of looking at it.
And when you have your current job, you can build your skills there. You can practice, you can try new things, you can challenge yourself, and you might fail, but you learn from that. So when you're in that job and you're able to say, okay, that next job, this is what I want to do, like that's really cool to be able to try that in the current job that you're in. And that can also help you grow in the current job you're in too, where your boss might say, wow, you can take on more responsibility, or, oh, you can handle this, like, and that's helping you kind of build your self-worth wherever you are, whether you want to stay where you are and grow in that organization, or you want to keep getting that next job. So that one's really
Yeah, you're
good.
absolutely right. I actually have to give a lot of credit to Syracuse for that line too. Because when I came in, one of my responsibilities was turning video for social media. I had never edited any video. I've never made highlights. But I started working with Tyler Cady, and he specifically sat me down one day, and we spent probably 4 hours learning how to use Premiere Pro, learning how to cut highlights, learning how to pull broadcast footage, just kind of teach me slowly throughout that year then how to actually like make videos and turn those around faster and make them more creative. And that's something I've had to do at all my other jobs. That made me stand out at Syracuse a lot. I mean, helped me stand out at Arizona State a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the work I did then with video at ASU and at Syracuse then helped me land this job too.
That's pretty incredible.
A
You
little
just
shout
don't-
out for Tyler. We love Tyler. We love Tyler.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
But you don't even know what's coming down the pikes. Like that's another example of like might not appreciate it at the time and not really realize like how big an impact some of these things that you're doing all of a sudden means, and why it's worthwhile to put that time in. It's like I can't even, reflecting, you think about, oh, I'm doing this and like, oh, why am I doing that? And then 3 or 4 years later, like, oh, I understand that. I did that, when we were putting this piece together for the building, or when we were designing this on a construction site. And I go, oh, that's like this. And you never really know when that comes back around.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
never. That's actually been one of the more entertaining parts about this current job too. Is because I am partly a one-man crew. I do have an assistant now. I hired a few months ago, but because I have to wear so many different hats nowadays,
Yeah.
I'm pulling stuff
Yeah.
back. I'm pulling out resource or thoughts and resources I haven't used in probably 3, 4, or 5 years now.
Right.
But because I took the time to set myself up way back then, now I could use those tools to help me continue forward. So it's just kind of fun, like looking back and saying, oh, you know what? Had I never done like this random project back in October 2018, I probably wouldn't be able to do it right now.
Yeah, you can fall back on those experiences that you had that, like Maury said, you never know when you're going to need those again. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I need those. Especially, I can't believe you were a one-man crew. That's crazy. But thank God you have a little help now.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I mean, again, it's fun. We keep it light as much as we can.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's great. That's good.
Well,
I
good
like
tip.
that one a lot.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah.
Let's go on to number 3.
So that actually leads right into the third one too. So it's just kind of have a toolbox, be multidimensional. Be able to do a lot of different things. When I graduated from Ohio University, I knew how to use a little bit of Photoshop, do a little bit of like just design and like website management. That's pretty much it. I had to self-teach myself or self-taught myself how to use a camera for photography, and then like I was saying, I got taught how to use videos, focus more on writing. Kind of like every step of the way, I just kind of picked up a different tool wherever I was. You never want to go more than like 1 or 2 months without learning like some sort of new skills, tactic, way of thinking, kind of thing. So just be multidimensional, have a toolbox going, be able to do a little bit of everything. Because eventually, when you start applying for jobs, no one's technically looking like for the perfect person. They're looking for the right person for the position and the right person for the time. And so if you can do maybe 2 out of 3 or 4 out of 5 things in that job description, they're probably going to go with you because that's better than doing nothing. And you're probably cheaper than a guy that can do 5 out of 5.
What would you say is like, if for somebody trying to get into athletic communications or that side of things, like what are those top 2 or 3 skills? Is it graphic design? Is it video editing? What are those like top things that you would say people should have experience in?
Right now, it's video editing, but particularly like TikTok videos, like anything short, vertical that you can walk out there, either talk to a person, record in 30 seconds, cut and turn around within like 15 minutes and get out within half an hour. Like if you can build that skill, you're going to be eons above everyone else. Because that is most jobs now. Like it's no longer social media communications or social media manager. That job's been packaged and moved into marketing in a lot of places. Now it's vertical content manager. We need someone to run our TikTok. We need someone to make our Instagram reels, and that's all in one once. Because if you get on those social media platforms now, all you're seeing is just video, every single swipe. So if you want to stand out, do that. And again, learn how to write, because if you can edit video, and you can write a little press release, you are now the person who's going to be hired wherever you want to work.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy, because you think like, oh, you got to be able to do Premiere Pro, you got to be able to do these long form videos, but it's so fast. It's like fast paced, like shoot it and put it out. Like it's as fast as you can do it. That's what you need to do.
Anything you can do with the phone. The phone is
with
like
your phone. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
I was gonna say too, like I actually haven't even opened Premiere Pro in probably 2 or 3 months. I've been using CapCut for the last probably 5 straight meets that we've had.
Yeah.
And our content, you can't even tell it nowadays. I mean, iPhone quality is so good, you can't tell if someone's using a camera or if they're using an iPhone. And so again, if you have a nice phone, you have CapCut, you're probably in the right position. Just go ahead and start cutting video.
So we were doing a reveal for a construction project we had, and one of our content people comes out and they're like expecting, like the construction site guys are expecting like a big camera and he comes out with his iPhone. He's like, what is he doing? I go, that's how this happens. Like the guy, he needs to know how to use the iPhone. He needs to know like what direction it is. And I go, and by like the end of the day today, there'll be 3 different posts that relate to what just went out. And like the construction guys had no idea. They were like, are you kidding? I was like, nope, this is how it works every time.
Like everything is on the phone now. Everything. Yeah.
It's actually funny too. Like some of the videographers I work with, like they're in like this weird space where they've been doing video now for like 10 or 15 years. But again, because it's all video content, they want to use their phones. So if you just walk out there and start recording using your phone, people who don't know the industry are like, what is he doing? Like he's not, we didn't hire the right person. So they've started putting their rigs around their iPhones, and all it is an iPhone like with a fake lens in front of it, but it looks more professional, and so people take that person more seriously. So you have all these people walking around with like probably $200 worth of gear together, and like they're just doing the same exact thing because you have to keep up appearances for people who don't know the industry. So
yeah, that's crazy.
It probably would have helped out because the guys are on the side like, when's this guy coming? I'm like, he's here with his phone. Like that's how this works.
Like I could have done it if I knew what I was doing, but
they did say that they would be able to do it, and I was like, no, this is not. You would not have the capability of capturing what this person's capturing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy, but that's interesting, and that's a really good tip because, again, like students they probably know, obviously, in this TikTok world, like everything is just quick, short, and fast. Like it doesn't need to be this long documentary type version of stuff. And there are time and a place for I think that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
But everything is so fast paced now. That's what recruits want to see. That's what, that's what they want to see. So
I would guess that's where the jobs are right now though, too. Like, I think it would probably be more chance of getting those quick short form jobs compared to like these long documentary jobs are probably just not out there as frequently. Or like you said, having it in your toolbox to be able to do all these different things is probably even more important. And to be able to like just build on whatever skills needed for that job.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you talk to college coaches, all these new recruiting roles, like 90% of that role a lot of times is just being at practice and taking video.
Right.
Either of the athletes walking into the court, walking off the court, locker room material, like in the huddle, covering like whatever the coach is saying. Like they just like want stuff they can pump out day by day by day by day. They want 20 videos in a week. They don't want 2 really high quality videos that take 10 hours to watch.
Right.
So yeah, it's all phones.
That's crazy, but
good.
That makes sense. It makes sense. So
it's the way the world is.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel really old.
I know you said that.
You and me both, honestly. I've got to be honest, I don't really love doing a lot of video editing. I don't really like being on my phone a whole lot. I try to outsource that as much as I can.
Yeah.
So anytime something like that comes up, I'm like, let me push it over to the 22-year-old.
Exactly. Push it over to the younger generation who that's what they do in their free time anyways.
Yeah.
Like everybody's posting TikToks and stuff, regardless of if it's your job or not. I mean, that's what it is. So let them do it. I agree, Will.
Well, before we lament too much on our age, let's.
I know. Please not. I know. Let's not.
There's been a lot of that lately on our side. Number 4. We're number 4.
Yes, we're on number 4. Well,
yeah. Just be easy to work with. If you can walk in and you can do the job and you're not annoying, you're not bothering people, you're not causing issues that have to throughout the HR to other bosses, you're gonna get hired. Because I've worked with so many people who can do the technical job, but then the second that they're done working, whatever they're doing, done editing, whatever it is, they're just miserable people to be around. They're always complaining, or they're showing up late, or not responding to messages, like little things like that. And I do a lot of hiring now in this role because we have competitions we have 5 competitions a year with like little names like here and there too. I'm doing a lot of hiring, and I've skipped over tons of people who are they can't respond to emails, they can't take phone calls, their texting habits are really weird, they're unprofessional in certain environments. You're going to get skipped over if you can't just maintain a certain level of professionalism. So just do the job, but don't be so focused on those hard skills that you forget how to just say hello when you walk into a room that you don't know, or that you don't miss, how to respond to an email in a professional manner or in a timely manner. Like little things like that is what's going to help you move up the ladder.
I love it. Don't be annoying. That should be the headline.
I honestly, there's certain people that came to my mind as you said that, which is really sad. But like,
same.
The reality is like, and I don't know what it is about certain people that they feel that like I want to feel like that they feel like their job is more important, or they have this entitlement to them that just is kind of so strange. It's like, well, we're all here to like, be it together, and just to say like, hi, how's your day? Even just to start it. And then, be like, okay, let me be respectful of the other person's time, and they'll be respectful of my time. Like just very like basic things that sometimes I just I don't get why it's just not part of their interaction.
And it goes back to like your other tip about like the communication side of things, like communicating just as a human, like to be able to do that, it is important. Like you said, saying hello, like responding in a timely manner. Like you shouldn't think you have to say that to people. Like you just think that should be like commonplace, but it's not. And then that you lose opportunities that way. Like you said, if you're looking for an outsourced type of a person, or looking for somebody in a certain, location because you can't get there, like if you don't respond, or you're not easy to work with, like then you're not going to get that opportunity. You're not going to get that job again.
So. I'm going to throw this out there. Just fake it till you make it, people. Like if that's not your normal, like, what is it, bitchy resting face? Like if that, just pretend to smile. Like just throw it out there, because the rest of us will just be able to survive it better.
Right.
But it's also like, if you're training someone, like, would you rather train someone who means well and like they're easy, like they're attentive, they're really trying their best, like they're not fighting back, or would you rather have someone who's like very short with you, like they're not really we're not really in the moment, things like that. You're going to take that easy person all the time, because I can teach you how to edit a video, I can teach you how to take pictures, I can't teach you how to be a good person. I also don't have the time or the energy to do so. So if you can just show up every day like, hey, I'm ready to be here, I'm locked in, I'm respectful, I'm just like looking to move up the ladder, I'm going to take you 10 out of 10 times.
100%.
And a short little side story too. My assistant, he works remote out of Seattle. We brought him into his first in-person event back in August. That was the first time our CEO and like a lot of our other senior directors met him in person. And now we're trying to move money around to hire him full time, because he was such a good person in the moment. That like they were like, oh my God, like we knew he was crushing it, like, with his little releases he was doing on the computer and all that stuff. Like actually seeing him in person, watching him interact with our staff like he's been there before, he quickly rose to like one of their favorite people at events. So it just goes to show, you don't have to be on a job very long at all. If you make the right impressions to the right people, you're going to get that job, and you're going to move up the ladder. You're going to have those references, and you're going to have people in your corner.
Awesome.
That's such a good example. Such a good example, because again, you can be the best at your job, but if you're not a nice person, you're not a friendly person, and like you said, you're not easy to work with, people will take somebody who they have to teach that and take that extra time on their side of things and deal with somebody that they don't want to be around. Because again, in sports, and everybody says this, like you're spending a lot of time with the people you work with. So if you don't like being around them, like nobody's going to want to work with you. Nobody's going to want to hire you. So, being good at your job is important, but also being a good person is also important. So that's
absolutely.
Yeah. Like Maury said, some people come right to mind, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know.
And like, I know those tips, like those are like very open-ended tips, but like at the end of the day, as a communications director, your job is to communicate in a way that people, trust you, and like they feel empathetic and safe around you too. And so if you're a kind of person who's just very standoffish, you can't bring people into you, and they don't feel, safe or secure, like, sharing information with you or having a conversation with you, you're not going to be able to do the rest of those hard skills of your job, because you're never going to get past that first 5 minutes of meeting someone.
Right.
So everything I do with my job is just, how can I, create this space where this person feels comfortable and welcome, and then, going from there, it's easy to take pictures and ask them to sit down or pose this way, that way. It's easy to set up a camera and talk to them for an hour. But like, if they don't like to talk to you, or they don't want to be around you, or you don't have the tools to like help them get to a point where they feel safe in that moment, it doesn't matter what else you do.
Right. Build that trust with them. They got to be able to trust you. So that's
awesome.
That's a good one. All right.
Killed it. Okay. Last one.
Okay. Big one. So the last one, Will, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? So what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
So yeah, a mix of my fourth point of being easy to work with, plus, a lot of people in these positions are just kind of figuring out as they go for the most part. So obviously, you're a senior VP, for example. They probably have been in the industry for 10 or 15 plus years, whatever, doing whatever job, whether it's press releases, social media, website manager, whatever. But the world, especially around digital communications, is just changing so quickly that they can't keep up with every little thing all the time. And so if you're someone who comes in and you're hyper focused, like, oh, I need to do this to move up the ladder, you might end up screwing yourself over because you might be too hyper focused on one pathway. We'll give it 2 years, technology changes, that pathway might fall away.
Right.
If you were someone who was hyper focused on building on Meta and building on Facebook, well, where's the world now? It's TikTok and Instagram, with Instagram quickly falling off. So if you're overly focused on all these, like, on the wrong platform or the wrong way of communicating on a platform, you're going to miss the rest of the world because it's going to be moving past you. And so with that, don't feel like that, just coming out of college or being 1 or 2 years into your career, like you're not ready for that next moment, because everyone else is kind of just sitting there like, okay, I'm good now, but what's happening in 6 months? What's happening in 12 months? What's happening in 18 months? So for me, I wish I'd known that sooner, because I kind of had this like anxiety when I first graduated. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be ready like for the actual jobs I want for the first like 10 years or 15 years after I graduate. So I seemed to be ready to buckle down and grind. And then I got 3 years into my professional career. I'm like, oh, I'm actually doing a lot better than I realized.
Right.
And hey, like these Power 5 schools are calling me for job offers. And hey, I'm actually kind of qualified to work on Wall Street and some of these other positions, and now, hey, Team USA wants to talk to me. So like everyone else is figuring it out. So don't be overly stressed, be focused, but don't be so focused that like that life, drives right past you.
I mean, for me, the thing I keep hearing by so much of your thing is be able to be adaptable and be able to have the skills to change with what you need to do. It's not all about having a set skill set. It's about developing the kind of scaffolding to be able to take on all these different tasks. And that's like what I clearly hear across all your tips, which I think is important for everybody. Like, be open-minded to the fact that there's all these things that might be able to come your way, and you have to be able to adapt to that and build into it.
Yeah, adaptability for sure. Adaptability for sure, because everything is changing always. Like nothing's ever going to remain the same. So being able to change with it is important. That's a good.
Yeah, and you also just never know what that other person might be dealing with in that hiring role or with that company or whatever too. One of my mentors who I look up to so much, and I talk to her probably every like 2 or 3 days about like just different things going on in my life. For the longest time, I thought she had everything figured out. I thought she was killing. I mean, she did have it for the most part. Like she was killing it. She was knocking everything out of the park publicly. But we started having like some very honest and intimate conversations the last couple of months, and I realized like, oh, like she feels like she's treading water. Like I thought she was like this untouchable person at the top of the ladder. Like this is where everyone wants to end up. By the time they hit like 34, 35. And I'm talking to her, and she's like, you know what? In a lot of ways, I feel like she said that she felt like she was like missing a lot of things, that she like wasn't adequate in a lot of ways. And that was, it was hard to hear on one hand, but also it's kind of reassuring too, because everyone has self-doubt and everyone like is always kind of questioning, oh, am I doing the right things? Do I know enough? Am I moving in the right ways? And so when you start talking to people, I've talked to 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds who are all saying the same kind of thing of, you know what, I can't believe I'm here. I kind of blinked one day and life brought me here. So like it's okay to have that anxiety because we're all kind of sharing it, and you're not alone, and there's going to be people to help you kind of end up where you want to end up.
Well,
that makes me feel better right there. I feel like that a lot, Will. So thank you. I do feel better now.
Well, with that, I don't think we could get any more capped off than that. That seems to be the best place to end this. Will, thank you so much for your time. Good luck to Team USA as they continue to kill it in weightlifting. And, a couple of years here, we'll be back out and see a couple more medals, hopefully, in the future, which will be awesome and cool. And we'll keep reading stories and seeing posts by you. So we're excited to see the future of it.
Yeah, this was great.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation. I wish the best to you guys. I hope Syracuse is doing well too. So can't wait to see what's next.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Will. And hopefully we'll get to see you soon. We miss you.
Well, upstate's a little bit too cold this time of year, so maybe like June or July roll back around. You guys start to thaw out.
Well, come back around. Well, with that, thanks everyone for joining us. Please make sure to follow on our socials at @AthCareerPod. Make sure to like and follow the podcast itself and all of our social platforms, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.